So I found a video on my camera roll when I was making a show Beautiful Mistake, and after I made this large painting called Where the Wounds Weep Light, which is 60 inches by 48 inches, one of the two large pieces in the show. The other large piece sold, which is called Free to Fly, so that's exciting. But in relation to Where Wounds Weep Light, that was a very intense painting to make. And a lot of times it is intense, but those were larger works, and I was really taking myself somewhere, and lots of things were getting stripped away as I moved into like the second, third, fourth layer, but definitely the second layer, which I could show you a few pictures here. I really just wept after that layer. Something like came like pouring out of me. It's why I called it Where the Wounds Weep Light, because I was crying in that layer. I think this is important to say and speak to, and I don't mind like revealing that side, because it's not always, pretty, even though when it looks pretty, right? And there is an intensity when you look at that painting and you really spend time with it, which so many people really took the time with the work. And I just want to thank people who showed up for the work and showed up for me, because through those reflections I'm able to see myself even more. And Beautiful Mistake, if you want to know a little secret, the real truth behind that on one level is, I always didn't know why I was born, and I didn't feel like I should have been born. So that was a long time to work out that abandonment wound, and to like give myself the self-love, that could take a lot from, and this is decades of work, of uncovering and revealing and, going through the things. And then, of course, it always shows up again, like in a different scenario, and then another layer, it comes off, and then you're faced with it again. But Beautiful Mistake really represents being all here now, taking up space, making the work exactly the way I want to make the work, with no apologies, and being able to see that people receive me in the process. Not everyone, but a lot, and that's really cool. It like changes me. It has changed me. I'm not the same person from, what was that, 6 months of this year, a few months ago from the show. But I really found the video that I made after those 4 layers, and I was like, I go, oh, I didn't share this. So some things, maybe we don't always want to share, or we're not ready. But I really would like to share it now here, because there's a lot of revelation in it. Even for me, watching it again, I said, oh, their truth is right there, And sometimes that's scary, that truth, when it's like face to face with ourselves first, right? And when it's with another, it's even different. But like, even coming face to face with yourself after like all those years. A lot of the work I do is soul work, whether that's painting, or, tending to the wounds with words or song. The medicine is just the things I've been through that have been polished like the stone. Of course, I'm still learning, and I definitely still make mistakes. But through it all, the waves of creation, the color and light of one nation, I would say one world, one heart. They like to say the higher heart of awareness, as in it's the heart that doesn't keep fighting. When I say they, I'm talking about every ancestor and spirit that's with me in my lineage of healing work, which is a lot at times. It's just the nature of my being and the nature of all I've lived through. Sometimes there's like a maturation, and sometimes there's a hiding phase, and there's a fear phase, and there's always an I don't know phase. Well, if you ever wondered, what are you doing here, and why am I fighting this thing when I could just be loving and dancing and creating and returning to the magic and the mystery? But a lot of people will say it has to be this way, or it has to be that way, or but ultimately it's up to an individual to decide what way they would like to choose. So we have autonomy and sovereignty, and that's important. So we can learn to open those doors to the differences and see what's there. But sometimes a conversation, well, it takes two people, and well, that was four, but you know what I mean. You can't force someone to be there with you, and you also can't like force your opinion on someone. It never works that way. So what do you do when like someone doesn't want to meet you where you are, and aren't you tired of fighting? Anyway, so we all have our own signature and essence and things that we need to do, maybe things we feel called to do. So I'm not saying one is better or worse or more right or more wrong. I'm just saying it is what it is, and it's a channel of choosing, just in that tuning, right? The tuning in, the tuning within, the medicine, the art, the color, the light, the light of creation's dreaming, the songs of the soul, the strength of the tree runs through you and me to the heavens, to the stars. The light of awareness is in our hearts if we dare to look. It's scary to look inside, isn't it? It's easier to hide. I know that all too well. But to break the spell, all you have to do is dare to look. Oni mae to atae o atae ya no hatae atoama kotae no atae ya no ata kotae no ae ya kotae no aea eto anata ea kotae no na keitai no a e no ata eo. The soul sometimes has a song. Oftentimes I wondered, where do I belong? There's so many histories and ancient memories that flow through me. It's often beyond my own understanding, because in some ways I'm just learning. Just like a baby waking up. There's so much to learn. There's so much to be grateful for. There's so much to remember, like within our beingness. It's easy to fight. It's easy to run away. It's harder to, unfurl the fist and spread the wings. It's harder to stay and look in the mirror or at the other if you hurt them, or if you hurt, or if it's in reverse. So where do we have our hand in it? We kind of all have a role. But it's easy to blame and shame and guilt another. It's harder to find forgiveness, that's for sure. And we're the most critical on ourselves, and maybe in some instances we deserve to do that, but nobody deserves to keep walking around and suffering, right? And the biggest teacher, some of the biggest spiritual teachers about suffering, they would say, take yourself off of the, take yourself down from that, What all my teachers taught me, really, when I look back, even when it didn't go like I planned, it definitely didn't. But I can look back now after I've healed a lot from certain incidences over the years, and I could see, oh, it was just my fear. And I was really clinging to my identity, but I didn't know how to let go, and it blew up in my face. Oh boy, did it blow up. So it would be years into move into this understanding, and the artist returned through all of this, And it's important to say this because, we can all have these things that flow through us. And the more I make the artworks, the more I see myself in all of it. The more I've always loved the color. And I always see myself returning color to the world. Like even in my shamanic journeys, I would see that all the time, long before I was really back into making the artworks. It would just show up in different kinds of ways, So it was kind of seeded in me long ago. But you can lose yourself so easily in all of this. You can cling so desperately for wanting the answer to what does it really mean to be here now. But really it just means to be in this moment, in the truth of what it is for you, and to realize that can always change. And no, I'm not perfect. I definitely make mistakes, like I said earlier. So I say that I made the mistakes and I take responsibility. But does that make it easier? Sometimes no, because you still have to live with that pain and on some level. But what I noticed over time, it lessens and lessens and lessens, and I think you become more free and freer and freer the more you kind of turn within and dare to look at it all. And if you're an artist and you're an emotional, intuitive, abstract artist, you can really just sink it all into the offerings, right? To the creation itself. So that's like a grist for the mill, this like alchemical reaction, a transformation of creation. And that's what I'm interested in, and not just in the artworks, but in speaking to and living into, and realizing it isn't always perfect. And sometimes in that mess is where you really find the message. You find the answer in the strangest places sometimes.